Hi, I'm Mayor Leo Fontaine, and I'm running for re-election this year for our great city of Woonsocket. Woonsocket is a great city with a rich history and diverse culture, but we're facing difficult challenges at this point. Let's face it, we're all frustrated with the way things are, but this election is not about whether we're frustrated or not. It's about the future and choosing a leader that will bring us successfully into the future. I've been truly honored to serve as mayor of my hometown, and I've served with honesty and integrity throughout all of the years that I've been in office. I think that's the very least that anyone running for this important office should offer. And that's why this decision before the voters of the city is so important. Unfortunately, our city is being crushed by a never-ending series of budget cuts from the state. We've lost almost $55 million in the last 7 years. And as they've tried to deal with their own runaway spending, they passed the problems down to the cities and towns, and we were left to suffer the consequences. Now, I've been upfront about our situation from the beginning. I've issued a very detailed economic plan to bring our city successfully into the future. Creating new jobs by the development of a new industrial park, redeveloping our neighborhoods and our shopping areas, making the most out of a renewed landmark medical center, and exciting new projects such as commuter rail for our city and the location of a college or university in our downtown area. We can't just sit back and wait. We need to bring the future to us, here and now, and that's what my plan does. Unfortunately, my opponent doesn't have a plan. Now, she talks an awful lot about eliminating the Economic Development Department at City Hall and turning on streetlights, but that's not a plan. And she avoids the question when she's faced with the fact that her numbers just don't add up. Now, that may work up at the State House, but it doesn't work here in the real world. The fact of the matter is that her lack of a plan is nothing more than a plan for bankruptcy. Bankruptcy will kill our city, make no mistake about it, as it has in other communities that have gone down that path. That may be her plan, but that's not what's good for our city. So let's look at where we are and how we got here. Since 2007, we've lost nearly $55 million because of cuts at the state level. My opponent voted for every one of those cuts, time and time again, slashing funds from our city and from our children in the schools. I've looked at every budget and every vote, and the facts are there for all to see. Beginning with her vote in favor of the 2008 budget cuts, on through the 2010 budget that slashed another $10.7 million from us, she voted for every one of these budgets that took money away from our city and forced us to cut services and raise taxes on our residents. In 2008 and 2009, when the state passed supplemental budgets that took more money away from us in the middle of the fiscal years, you guessed it, Baldelli Hunt voted in favor of those cuts as well. She even authored and passed the supplemental tax that we were forced to accept recently, and unfortunately she took away the protections that we had asked for our senior citizens. Now, I have the citations for every one of these votes, down to the date and the page of the House journals that record all of the House votes. These are just the facts, and I urge you to go out and do the research for yourself. This is an important time for our city, and it's important that you know the facts. It just seems that she says one thing up at the State House and another here. It's important that we learn the truth before the election. Now, Representative Baldelli Hunt often speaks about strong leadership. But where was her strong leadership when we really needed it? When she had the opportunity to help our city, she let us down. She continually used her one vote out of those 75 to hurt our city. Even when she was interviewed by Buddy Cianci, she continually dodged the question when he asked her why she would continue to vote to cut funds from her own city and now want to come and be mayor. And she's had 7 years up at the State House to show her effectiveness. And let me ask, what do we really have to show for it? We've lost funding every year since she's been in office, and as I've spoken about and detailed earlier, she voted for every one of those cuts that we've received. So what has Representative Baldelli Hunt accomplished at the State House? Well, she introduced more bills than anything to help the payday lending and check cashing industry, which preys upon the poor of our community. When Common Cause, the good government group, asked her to recuse herself from that because of family relationships in the business, she refused to. In fact, she was one of only 5 representatives that voted against legislation that would have held the General Assembly to the same ethics laws as every other public official in our state. Why? Why didn't she work as hard for the people of our city as she did for the payday lending industry? My opponent also introduced legislation that would have funneled all of the state's media dollars to one company, and that company is owned by a campaign contributor of hers. Now, her actions became the subject of a state police investigation, and when her colleagues in the House of Representatives found out what had happened, they went to great lengths to undo what she had done. Now, my opponent states that her experience as a real estate investor prepares her to be the leader of our great city. But when you look at her record, You find deals such as the questionable deal at the Goodyear building, in which she bought a property, never paid the mortgage, never paid the taxes, and the owners of the property were forced to go to court just to try to get some of their money back. That's not the sign of a good leader for our city. So when you consider my opponent's record, the fact that we've lost almost $55 million since 2007, and she voted for all of the cuts that have hurt us so much here in the city, you see that she's just not an effective leader. Don't just take my word for it, though. The good government group Common Cause grades every one of our legislators every 2 years and gives them a report card. And my opponent, Representative Baldelli Hunt, failed every time. In 2012, she got a score of 65. In 2008, she got a score of 53. And in 2010, she got a score of 32. A 32. For such an important job at such a difficult time, do we really want to hire someone that can't even pass the test, let alone trust? So to all of the people of our city, I know that times are difficult. I'm frustrated with things as well. And I wish I had a magic wand that would just solve all of our problems. But all I can offer you is my hard work, honesty, and integrity to bring our city successfully into the future. We can't just sit back and let our state push us into bankruptcy. I'm not going down without a fight, and neither is our city. So I'm asking you to stand with me as we fight for the future of our community. I thank you all for the support that you've given me in the past, and I ask for your continued support on November 5th. So to all of you, God bless you, and God bless our great city of Woonsocket.